Non-Mendelian genetics is a pattern of inheritance that do not follow Mendel's laws of inheritance, meaning dominant and recessive. It's a little bit more complex. For example, we have something called codominance. Codominance is when both dominant alleles are exhibited. For example, sickle cell anemia with misshaped red blood cells, our blood type system, as well as curly versus straight hair. So, for an example, we're going to be looking at hair. So, H represents hair texture, for example, and you can see it as HHH. It does look a little bit confusing. Sometimes you'll see it. This is the correct way of doing it. However, sometimes you will see it just with the traits written out: big R, big T, or RT. So in this scenario, big R stands for curly hair, big T stands for straight hair, and RT stands for wavy hair. So if we set up a Punnett square, and again, we're looking at hair texture, and if we have one that is purebred curly with a purebred straight, we're going to get 100% are going to have wavy hair. Let's look at blood types. When we use blood typing, we use the letter I for immunoglobulin. Be aware there is a dominant and recessive trait for this. So for example, if you have type A blood, you can have pure type A blood, or you can have a heterozygous, big A and a little I. Likewise, type B, big B, or big I, big B, little I. Whereas type AB blood, you can see that here's the codominance, type AB. And type O blood, or it's more commonly known as zero blood because it has no antibodies, is little I, little I. Another trait which is kind of unique, and it's sickle cell anemia. And in this case, big A stands for normal or wild type blood. AS stands for we have wild type. Some cells are sickle shaped, so they're shaped like a crescent moon. And the other ones are shaped like a donut with a membrane across the middle. And the big S stands for sickle cell anemia. So what's really amazing about sickle cell anemia is that if you have normal blood, you're fine. That's the most common or wild type blood. If you have sickle cell disease, you have it, or you have what's called the heterozygous advantage. What's really amazing is that especially in Africa, in the low-lying regions where there's lots of mosquitoes, if you have normal blood, you get bitten by a mosquito, you're going to die. Or you have a higher chance of dying, I should say. If you have big S, you have a chance of dying of sickle cell anemia. However, if you are heterozygous, meaning you have the heterozygous advantage, it means that you're pretty much immune to malaria because those little sickle-shaped cells poke at the plasmodium. Again, that's sickle cell anemia, and this is a normal red blood cell. There's another type of dominance called incomplete dominance. And this is when one allele is not completely dominated over another allele, thus revealing a new phenotype. So for example, if we look at flower colors in tulips or your lip protrusion or dog eye patches. So for example, we have a red tulip that's symbolized by a big R, and a white tulip, which is symbolized by WW. However, we get a blending of the two colors. We don't have red and white parts. We actually have a pink tulip, which is R and W. The last type of non-Mendelian genetics is called sex-linked traits. These are traits that are found on the sex chromosomes, and we're going to explore ones that are found primarily on the X chromosome. These include color blindness, hemophilia, which is a blood disorder where the person has no platelets or limited platelets, as well as male pattern baldness. As you'll recall, the symbol for female is XX and the female symbol for male is XY. In this case, we're going to look at hemophilia, the normal, or what I'd like to refer to as called wild type, which means it's the most common form. So in this case, we have so this is a female. She has a wild type, so she is the most common form of blood, which means that she does not have it. In this case, you can see big H, little h. She's a carrier, though she does not have hemophilia, whereas little h, she does have hemophilia. Likewise, a male, they only have one X chromosomes. So they're either going to have it, they're going to have the wild type, the most common, or they're going to have it. So they have a greater chance of having hemophilia. Males cannot be carriers. So let's look at this scenario that we've set up here. A heterozygous carrier female is with a wild type male. So here's our female. She's heterozygous, big H, little h. And our wild type are normal male, big H. We make the crosses. So we have one female that is normal, another one that is a carrier, one male that is normal, and one male that has hemophilia. In this scenario, the female cannot have hemophilia because the male does not have it.